I never minded being called a handyman. There was a kind of nobility in it, in being the guy who could fix things. The one people called when the door creaked or the faucet leaked. My father was a carpenter, and his father before him. So, when I left college to start something of my own, something real, it wasn't with shame. It was with sleeves rolled up, knuckles scarred, and a vision in my chest. What they never saw, what my wife's parents refused to see, was the other half of me. The part that ran spreadsheets at 2 a.m., that scouted locations for over a year, that risked every dime I had on a space I couldn't afford, in a neighborhood people said was too up-and-coming to be safe. That same space is now the highest-rated farm-to-table restaurant in the city. I don't say that to brag. I say it because it matters to the story. This was a few months ago. My wife, Sarah, and I had been married 3 years. Her parents never quite took to me. They were polite in that old-money way, where every compliment is dipped in sarcasm. Her dad, Frank, always introduced me as the guy who can fix your sink and your steak. And her mom, Lydia, well, she just smiled like she was counting down the minutes until Sarah came to her senses. So when Sarah suggested we take them out for dinner to celebrate their anniversary, I said yes without hesitation. "Let's do something nice," she said. "My treat," I replied. She didn't know what I meant by that. They picked the restaurant. Well, technically I picked it, but they didn't know that. They just thought they were going to some trendy spot they'd heard about on one of those Sunday lifestyle segments on cable. "Oh, the one with the truffle duck confit and live jazz," Lydia said when she saw the name. "Fancy for a handyman." Frank chuckled. "Just don't bring your wrench, son. They might make you fix the espresso machine." I laughed. Because that's what you do. You laugh. You swallow. You nod. And deep inside, you file it away. We got there a little after 7. The host smiled the second he saw me. "Mr. Bennett, welcome." I shook his hand, gave him a small nod, and he didn't say another word. That was our arrangement. I didn't want a scene. Not yet. The restaurant looked beautiful that night. Candles flickered on each table, the wood-paneled walls glowing in amber warmth. Jazz hummed low under the murmur of conversation. Everything was perfect. I'd made sure of it. We sat. The wine came quickly. I let Frank order the 2009 Bordeaux without flinching. Lydia scanned the menu and leaned over to Sarah. "You sure we shouldn't go somewhere simpler? This seems a bit above his station." I didn't respond. I just sipped my water. "You know," Frank said as he set his napkin on his lap, "I still think it's a little funny that you're running a business when you never got your degree." "Funny how?" I asked. He shrugged. "Just ironic, I guess. You were always more of a hands guy than a head guy. No offense." "None taken," I said. "I guess I just found my own way." He grinned. "Sure did. All that screwing and hammering finally paid off, huh?" They laughed. Even Sarah gave a small chuckle, the kind people give when they're embarrassed but don't want to make a scene. The waiter came. I gave him a subtle nod, and he began to rattle off the specials. When he got to the filet mignon with foie gras and the sea-based crudo, Lydia's eyes widened. "Oh, let's not be shy," she said. "Frank, let's get the oysters to start. And I want the duck. No, actually, the ribeye. Medium rare. And the truffle fries." Frank leaned back in his chair. "What the hell? Bring the table tasting menu. We only get to humiliate the handyman once a year, right?" I smiled. "Order whatever you like." "Really?" And they did. Appetizers. Entrees. Dessert tastings. A second bottle of Bordeaux. Caviar. Lydia even asked the waiter if they had a special spoon for it. "I just hate when the taste of metal ruins the row," she said. They treated me like I wasn't even there. Sarah tried, I'll admit. She caught my eye a few times, offered a smile that was half apology, half please don't cause a scene. I just kept smiling, because I knew what was coming. You see, I bought that restaurant 3 years ago, under a different LLC. I kept the name of the original owner on everything for the public-facing side of things. But every table, every fork, every paycheck, every bottle of wine, they all run through my signature. So when the bill came, $1, $3.48, not including tip, Frank puffed his cheeks out and reached for his wallet. "I got this," he said with a grin, like he was doing me some great favor. But the waiter held up a hand. "No need, sir." Frank frowned. "What do you mean?" The waiter turned to me, smiling gently. "It's on the house, Mr. Bennett. Thank you for treating your guests tonight." Silence. Dead, still silence. Frank looked at me, then at the waiter, then back. Wait, what did you call him? The waiter blinked. Mr. Bennett. He's the owner. Lydia set her spoon down. You own this place? I didn't gloat. I didn't raise my voice. I just smiled. 3 years now. Had to fix a few things at first. Plumbing, wiring, a broken business plan. But yeah, it's mine. They looked stunned. Lydia's eyes darted around the room, suddenly seeing it differently. Frank cleared his throat, as if trying to swallow the bitterness. Why didn't you say anything? I shrugged. Didn't see the point. You already decided who I was. Sarah stared at me, her fork still halfway to her mouth. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't frowning either. Just watching. Like she was seeing me for the first time. The staff came by then, 3 of them. One handed me the feedback forms. Another offered to have dessert boxed for later. The third just said thank you, quietly, like we were old friends. I stood. Shall we? They got up slowly. Frank muttered something about needing air. Lydia walked like she was balancing eggshells on her spine. As we stepped outside into the cool night, Sarah touched my arm. Why didn't you ever tell me? I looked at her. Really looked at her. Because, Sarah, I said, sometimes you have to let people show you what they think of you, before you show them who you are. Her parents didn't say a word the whole ride home, but I heard the silence. It said everything. We didn't talk much on the drive back. I sat in the passenger seat of Frank's Range Rover, the leather cold against my arm. Sarah sat behind me, quiet, her gaze fixed out the window like there was something more comforting in the blur of the passing city than in the man she thought she knew. Frank didn't turn on the radio. He didn't even ask for directions, just followed the GPS like it was the only voice in the car worth listening to. When we pulled up to their place, Lydia was the first to open the door. I need a drink, she muttered, heading inside without looking back. Frank stood in the driveway for a moment. He lit a cigar he didn't finish and said nothing to me, just gave me a tight nod, like he was still trying to process whether he should feel impressed or betrayed. They went inside, but Sarah stayed behind. Just us and the buzz of crickets, porch lights flickering above like faint stars trying to hold the night together. You could have told me, she said. Not angry, not even upset, just unsure. I crossed my arms. Would it have changed anything? She hesitated. Maybe. That was the thing. I never set out to prove anything. Not to them, not even to her. I just wanted to build something that mattered. I wanted to take the calluses on my hands and make them mean something. But the deeper I got into the restaurant, the more I realized how many people judged the work, not the man doing it. I didn't hide it to be sneaky, Sarah, I said. I just got tired of having to justify my worth. She looked at me then, really looked at me. You know they didn't mean it. Yes, they did. Maybe not all of it, but enough. The truth is, they weren't bad people, just small in a way they didn't realize. That kind of condescension, it's like a perfume they wear. They don't smell it, but everyone else does. We stood there another minute before I walked her to the door. I didn't kiss her goodnight. Didn't feel right. Instead, I just said, tell them thanks for dinner. The next few weeks were strange. Not bad, just different. Sarah was quieter. Not distant, exactly, just recalibrating. Like she had to rearrange everything she thought she knew about me and didn't want to knock anything over in the process. Then one day, she brought it up. I've been thinking, she said over coffee. About that night. I nodded. Yeah. I don't know why you never said anything. Not just about the restaurant. About how they made you feel. I stirred my coffee slowly. Because I didn't want to make it your problem. She sat back. But it is. When my family mocks you, that's not just about you. That's about us. There it was. A flicker of understanding. The kind you can't force into someone. They either find it or they don't. I know they were wrong, she said. I just wish I'd spoken up sooner. I shrugged. You did now. She reached across the table. Took my hand. I'm proud of you, you know. I smiled. Even if I'm just a handyman. She rolled her eyes. Especially because you're a handyman who owns a restaurant they couldn't afford to eat at without your signature. We both laughed. But under the laughter, something settled between us. A kind of quiet respect. The kind that doesn't need to be announced. Word got around, of course. The staff couldn't help it. One of the waiters posted a cryptic message online that night. Something like, never underestimate the quiet guy. You never know whose name is on the checks. It went viral for a few days. People speculated. A few even guessed it was about me. Frank never brought it up again. He still made the occasional jab, still called me Mr. Fix-It from time to time, but there was a shift in his tone. Less smug. More cautious. Lydia came back to the restaurant once. Just once. She booked a table under a different name, probably hoping no one would connect the dots. But the maitre d' recognized her immediately and seated her at a quiet corner table. When I walked past, I stopped. She looked up. "This place is lovely," she said. I smiled. "Thank you. We try." She hesitated. "You're doing well, I see." I didn't say anything. Then she said, almost too quietly, "You proved me wrong." I nodded. That wasn't the point. She looked confused. Then what was? To be happy. To build something. The rest? That was just extra. Lydia blinked, then nodded slowly. And for the first time since I'd met her, she didn't have anything else to say. She left before dessert. There's something I learned through all of this. Silence speaks louder than any confrontation. When people underestimate you, there's a part of you that wants to yell, to fight, to prove them wrong in the moment. But sometimes the best way to respond is to let your life do the talking. The restaurant? Still running strong. We've opened 2 more locations since then. Different names, same principles. Locally sourced ingredients. Staff paid above industry average. Respect, from the kitchen to the front door. And me? I still show up early. I still roll up my sleeves. I still fix the sink when it leaks. Because I'm still a handyman. Just one with a few restaurants and a last name on the deed. A few months after that dinner, we held a staff appreciation night at the restaurant. No customers, just my team and their families. We closed early, put out a buffet of their favorite dishes. Nothing fancy, just good food done well. Chicken parmesan the way one likes it. Vegan chili from Marisol. Apple cobbler from my mom's recipe. I stood there watching them eat, laugh, dance a little to the music someone put on the speakers. And it hit me. This was what I'd built. Not just a business, but a place where people felt valued. Seen. Safe. That was never something Frank or Lydia would understand. Sarah came by later that night. She'd been out of town for a few days visiting a friend, and she walked through the back entrance like she always did, slipping past the kitchen and straight into my arms. "Still my favorite place to eat," she whispered. I kissed her on the forehead. "Glad I made the cut." We sat out on the patio while the last of the staff cleaned up inside. The breeze was soft, carrying hints of rosemary and lavender from the herb garden we'd planted near the entrance. "I think they love working here," she said, watching as Luis high-fived his daughter before they left. "They should. It's theirs, too, in a way." She turned to me. "You've always been this way, haven't you?" "What way?" "Quiet. Steady. Letting everyone else talk while you just build." I thought about that. About all the years I'd spent trying to earn respect in ways that didn't require applause. It's the only way I know. She took my hand. "You know, I used to think we needed their approval to make it. My parents. Society. All of it." I nodded. "I used to think that too." She smiled, but there was a hint of sadness there. "I hate that I let them treat you that way for so long." I looked at her, not with anger, but understanding. "You didn't let them. You just didn't see it. Now you do." That was the thing about perspective. It comes late, sometimes when the damage is already done. But healing starts when you finally acknowledge what you missed. We didn't see Frank and Lydia much after that. They still sent Christmas cards. Still invited us to their country club mixers, which we politely declined. I wasn't bitter, just uninterested. One day, maybe a year later, I got a call from Lydia. "Frank's having surgery," she said. "We thought, maybe you could come by." And I did. Not because I owed them anything, but because I'm not the man they thought I was. I brought flowers, shook Frank's hand, sat in a hospital chair for 2 hours listening to him talk about the stocks he regretted not buying. Right before I left, he said something I didn't expect. "You know, I still don't understand how you pulled it off." I raised an eyebrow. "Pulled what off?" "This whole thing. The restaurant. The respect." "Sarah." I smiled. "I didn't pull anything off. I just showed up every day and didn't quit." He nodded slowly. "That's something, I guess." It wasn't an apology, but it didn't need to be. Sarah and I still go back to that restaurant now and then. We sit at the same table, the one in the corner by the window where the jazz sounds clearest. It's not about the food, it never was. It's about what we built after people counted us out. What we learned from the silence. I still wear the same boots I wore when I laid tile in the kitchen myself. Still keep a wrench in my truck, just in case. Still fix things when they break, because I'm a handyman. And proud of it. Some people spend their lives trying to be someone impressive. I just wanted to be someone solid. The kind of man who doesn't need applause to know he's done something right. And when the check comes, Sometimes, I let it sit there on the table a while longer than necessary, just to remember how it felt when they didn't know my name, but still signed it anyway. Because respect isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's just a signature. On a check. On a deed. On a life well built.